Today on the show, I have the pleasure of speaking with Sharad Mehta. Sharad is the founder and CEO of REsimpli. After continuously being frustrated while using multiple softwares to run one business, Sharad decided enough was enough. So he created an all-in-one real estate software which helps people close on more deals, save time, and they do it all at a lower marketing cost. I'm really pumped and excited to have him on the show today to share his incredible insight and his experience. G'day, Sharad. Welcome to the show. How you doing today, mate?
Good, Reed. Thank you for having me on the show, man.
Hey, my pleasure. And just tell all our listeners, where are you dialing in from today?
Toronto, Canada. Right outside of Toronto, Canada. Yeah.
Lovely. So north of the border. Hello, all our Canadian listeners up there. Hope you're tuning in to Investing in the US, and we thank you for your loyal service. But Sharad, I kick off every show like I do with all my guests. And rewind the clock and tell me how you made your first ever dollar as a kid.
I did by raking the leaves in the back of a convenience store. Yeah, I walked about 2 miles to the store, worked there for an hour, got paid $20, and then walked back 2 miles. This was when I was in school.
Nice. And go ahead.
I was going to say I got $20. I got one $10 bills to $5 bills. I still have one of the $5 bills with me. I sent a $10 bill to my parents, they have that, and I sent a $5 bill to my girlfriend back then, and she's my wife now. So never actually spend the money. Yeah,
that is awesome. Where was the convenience store back in the day?
In New York.
In New York,
Long Island. That's where I went to school. Yeah.
Lovely. So tell me about the story here, because clearly Toronto, New York, you clearly have a little bit of an accent as well, like I do. What's the background here, mate?
Yeah, a little bit different accent between the two of us, right?
that big southern accent of yours, right? From
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, so you guys can guess. I'm down from Texas. It's pretty obvious.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, so I started out in 2000. So a little bit. So I moved here from India. So shocker, I'm not from Texas originally. I moved there from India right after high school. So I was 18 when I moved to New York. That's where I went to school. I got a degree in accounting. Then I moved to Chicago for my job in 2005. So I worked for about 4 years or so. Then I started looking at some money saved up. I started looking at, what could I do with the money that I have? So I looked at stocks and bonds, and I was absolutely horrible at it. Lost more money than I hate to remember now. Then I've always been a lot into personal finance, like Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, and I was following a couple of very popular personal finance blogs. And the most fun is always reading the comments, than the actual blog. So I was reading the comments section, and somebody talked about a book called Flip. So it took me to Amazon, and then from there, Flip. It took me to another suggested reading about Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller. I read that book. I'm like, man, this is what I want to be. It sounds fantastic. So that's when I started investing in real estate, kind of just followed that book as a model. Initially started investing. I was living in Chicago, started investing in Northwest Indiana, which is practically a suburb of Chicago, 45 minutes drive from Chicago for anybody who's not familiar. Still investing in that market to the day. So 2010 is when I bought my first property. Then 2011, 12 started working with lots of overseas investors, mainly from Australia. When the Australian dollar was strong compared to US dollar, they're buying a lot of properties. So I, sold them a lot of properties. And then after that, 2015, moved to San Diego. Still had an active business. That's when I started REsimpli. As a personal need for my own business, and then it kind of grew into what it is now. And last year, March 2020, I moved to Canada.
Wow, you've moved around a lot.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Little bit. Yeah. Actually, one thing you picked up on, the Flip book, is that the book? I just pulled it up here. How to Find, Fix, and Sell Houses for Profits by Ricky.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember reading that exact book when I first moved to the United States. And it was jam-packed with some incredible, great little tidbits about how to identify markets and the best, the worst house on the best block. And it was actually very influential in my career as well. So everyone who's listening out there, Flip, it's a green cover, FLIP, how to find, fix, and sell houses for profits by Ricky Villani and Clay Davis. And I, it's funny you mentioned, you're the only person I've ever had on this show out of 300 odd episodes over 6 years to mention that book. But it was a book that, for me, coming from Australia, it combined like a guru or a mentor, everything they would need to teach me. It was in one little book. Like when you're getting started in that low sort of flipping space. So that's awesome. It's great. I obviously have fond memories of that book. I haven't picked it up in many years, but so that was the start of it. What was the first property you bought?
It was a 2-unit property. I still own that property to this day. It was in August 2010. So it's been like 11 years now since I've owned that property. It was listed on the market for $65,000. And I think I made an offer of $20,000. Just, what's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody will say no. My wife and, tells me no all the time for plenty of things. I'm like, I'm used to rejection. So what the hell? And, interestingly enough, they came back with $25,000. And I think we settled about 22.5 or no more than 25. I don't remember. It was a 2-unit property. Each unit, we put about 10,000 in the property. So I think I was all in about 35. And each unit was renting for about $650 a month. And I still have that property. I think we get about $750 to $800 a unit. So I still own that. And then a month later, in September 2010, I bought a 3-unit property. I'm like, man, this is awesome. Then at that point, I just decided to leave my job and just pursue full time.
That's so funny. You bought a 2-unit when you first moved here in 2010. I bought a 3-unit in Syracuse, New York. Very similar numbers. I bought it for $38,000, so a little bit more than you. But I was renting for the same $650. I remember to this day. It was in 2012. And I don't know where your property is. I've long gone sold mine, but mine was Section 8 housing. And I was a real eye-opener to being a fresh-eyed, bushy-tailed Australian figuring out what the hell Section 8 housing was. So I don't know if yours is like that, but it's kudos to you to still having it to this day.
Yeah, I still have it to this day. I'm not involved in the property management. I own a property management business. And at the end of the day, I just look at, hey, how much money did we get? But I just, like, overall, of the 150 to 175 units we manage, I would say about 10% to 15% are Section 8, no more than that. Everything else is non-Section 8. But it could be good, it could be bad, depending on, just like with anything else, you have to pre-qualify the tenant.
Yep. So you just mentioned there, and let's get into it. Property management business, REsimpli, all these cool names. What's happening? What's the business look like today? What have you grown it into since that first property back in 2010?
Yeah, so now we are very actively involved in fix and flip. So I own a turnkey business also where we sell properties to other out-of-state investors looking to buy, passive properties. So we do about 40, 50 flips a year on my real estate flipping business. And I would say half of those are, typical retail flips selling to homeowners. The other half is to other investors that are looking to buy properties. So from there, we started our property management company. We weren't really happy with a couple of other companies that we were using. So we decided to start our own property management company. So we sell and then, we keep the management in-house. And then, like I mentioned earlier in the show, so in 2015, I moved to San Diego. My wife, she got a job in San Diego, so we moved there. And that's when I started looking at my business on, I have all these things going on. How do I manage all this different, people, different things going on in my business, and looked at different software options, nothing really fit what I was looking for. And then at that point, that's when I started REsimpli with the main goal of, having one software to essentially run the entire business from and having very detailed KPIs about the business. So that was the idea behind it. Again, I don't think if I had moved to California or if I'd moved out of state, I don't think I would have ever started the company. So that was a blessing in disguise that I moved out of country and, moved out of state and I saw a need. And then, I used it for a couple of years before we started having other people use it. So it's exciting now. We have, investors with all sorts of background, people doing 1 or 2 deals a year, all the way up to 100, 200 deals a year using our platform. So it's very exciting.
That's incredible. And I want to also ask, before we get into the nuts and bolts, where are the properties, or where's the main market? You mentioned property management, you mentioned turnkey. Where are you doing most of that out of?
It's Northwest Indiana, Lake County. Again, it's practically a suburb of Chicago, but it happens to be in Indiana. Again, why I chose that market while I was living in Chicago was like the book that, we talked about, Flip and Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Like, that's the model I followed. It talks about wherever you live, just, draw like a 1 hour driving radius from where you live. So I was in Chicago. I couldn't buy anything in East because that would be in Lake Michigan. And then I saw that within 1 hour drive, Indiana fell in that 1 hour drive. I'm like, that's very interesting. Living in Chicago, you don't really care about, Indiana. But I'm like, oh, this is very interesting. So I kind of started looking into it. The prices were lower, the return was higher. And I looked at, being in a more landlord friendly market was also important. So that was the reason why going into Indiana.
Got it.
Yeah, and that's where we have everything in Northwest Indiana, in a very small area. I believe the population is about 500,000 people.
And that sustains you doing all the business on the turnkey side?
Correct.
Got it. How many turnkeys? You said, you mentioned earlier, 40 to 50 flips. Is that including the turnkeys?
Including the turnkey. So I would say about 20-25 are turnkey. The other are retail.
Got it. So you're also just not regentrifying, but rehabbing an entire city by the sounds of it, slowly.
It is, yeah. I mean, especially from when I started to where we are now, and not just me, like, other investors that are coming to the market. I mean, working with Australian investors was a big part of it, because, I mean, they had so much capital. I mean, they could just buy in bulk. We probably did like 250, 300, houses with them. So that was, I mean, of course, you do this to make money, but on the other side, you see neighborhoods, blocks like transitioning, improving. So that's very, that helps, that makes you feel good about what you're doing.
Awesome. Well, let's go back into the software. And you mentioned that you developed it because you needed to manage your teams better. So maybe run us through what's the functionality of the software and where it started from and now what it's morphed into.
Absolutely. So, once I moved out of Indiana, once I moved out of Chicago to California, I started looking at my business as, okay, I don't want my, let's say, acquisition team to be on one platform and my project manager is on different platform and my admin staff is on a third platform. So what, we were looking for is, okay, I would want to have my entire team be on one platform so they could speak with each other. And also it was important for me, being an accountant, people lie, but numbers never lie. So I wanted to have very data-driven information that I could make my decisions based on. If you're trying to rehab a property, I don't want, I don't want information from somebody saying, hey, my gut says this is a good deal. No, let's just look at the numbers. If we spend a lot of money on marketing, 250,000 a year. So we want to look at, okay, all the money that we're spending in marketing, for example, how much money are we making off of that? We don't want to guess, oh, I think the website is working really well, so let's put more money into it. Oh, I think the direct mail is actually working well, let's put more money into it. No, let's actually look at the numbers on, how much money you spent on direct mail. For every dollar that we put into different marketing, how much money have we made into it? Same thing on our rehabs, right? It's important for us, like, time is money. Every day you're sitting on that rehab project, that property is not selling, it's costing you money. The way we calculate our numbers is, it costs us $100 per day per project between, the actual cost, the interest, the holding cost, and also the opportunity cost. So that's why, we look at our numbers. Okay, how long does it take from the time we buy a property to the time we sell a property? And then we break it down, once we buy it, how long does it take before it goes into rehab? How long is our actual rehab? So that's the information we needed on the marketing side, being able to manage all our leads in one platform, being able to talk to them, receive their communication all in one platform, not wanting to jump from one platform to another to make a call, to listen to a recording. And there was really nothing out there, or the things that were out there were very clunky, not very user friendly. So that's where we decided to, start the company REsimpli.
That's incredible. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, and now it's morphed into what it is now. It's amazing to see some investors on our platform doing like more than 100 deals a year, and just using our platform from where it started. So that is amazing to see that.
So, just for the layman out there who's not into software, what's it like? Is it like Slack had a baby with GDrive, or what is it?
It would be. Oh man, that's a good question. So the heart and soul of everything is accounting feature. Mm-hmm. So QuickBooks, so it's sort of built like on an accounting software, which would replace your QuickBooks because it's very data driven, but we wanted to make front end very simple. So you have Slack-like features where you could communicate between, back and forth with your team. It has your Google Drive like feature, so you don't need Google Drive. You can upload all your pictures, videos. It has like you can call, you can text from within the platform. You can manage all your leads. There wasn't really anything like this on the market, so that's why we decided to start. It was really based on the idea of, okay, what would I want for my business? Because I used it myself for 2 years before I let anybody else use the platform. So it had to be something very simple. Even we named the company REsimpli, it was by design, like, okay, we want to serve real estate community, but we want to make something very simple to use. The front end should be very simple. The back end is very sophisticated on all the algorithm, but the front end has to be very simple. Anybody comes in, they should know, in a couple of minutes how to use the platform.
Interesting. No, and so you sort of like QuickBooks come Slack come GDrive come communication platform.
Exactly.
It seems like it's an all-in-one shop for
or something like a Trello board.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So something like a Trello board, like that's kind of what our pipeline looks like. You just simple drag and drop and do a lot of things. Just by dragging and dropping, put your notes in it. So Trello meets Google Drive meets QuickBooks and and then there's a couple of other like Meet Excel, a couple of other things built in there.
Mm-hmm. No, love it. Have you got a software background? Like, how'd you even get into starting it?
I don't have any software background. That some people will be shocked based on my accent and where I'm from. I do not have software background. No, it was honestly out of a personal need. If I hadn't moved to California, I don't think I would have ever seen a need to start the company. And I just would have been happy with kind of what I was using, but I'm glad I did. I saw a lot of value and I saw a lot of inefficiencies in everything that I was doing in my business. But no, I don't have any tech background. Even to this day, I don't know any coding. I'm just the owner of the company I work on the product side, and then I have other people doing other things that they're good at. I add the most value on driving the vision on, what products we want to develop. Everything else is handled by somebody else.
I love it. And I'm sure the projections of your company, your software company, is probably going to outstrip your real estate company at some day, right? Because software is that powerful.
It is. I think at this point, our software company is more valuable than the real estate company. But I do love being in the real estate business because, the software company would not be there if I didn't have a real estate business. So, the inspiration or the idea behind the software company came from the real estate business. So I still have a very active business. I always plan to have a real estate active business. I really love real estate. If I lost everything today and if I had to start everything from scratch, I would go back into real estate. I love that business a lot.
No, I talk to so many people on this platform, this platform, that talk about and discover business ecosystems within something. Like your story of moving to California, having a struggle that you couldn't then manage out of state, you didn't have everyone on the same platform, forced you down this path of creating a software for your real estate business. And that feeds the other one. And then, the property management business feeds something, feeds the business as well. So this ecosystem, everything is cycling and in a symbiotic relationship, which is so incredible. And I think that's the power of creating businesses. It's not just real estate. Obviously, real estate is the fundamental of what we all do, but opening the ideas up, having the challenges of interstate management, of property management, of construction management, of
Absolutely.
sourcing product from China, which is what I do on my end. All these things come from the one thing that we start, which is providing housing, right? And that's so powerful when you take a step back to see the iterations and the journey in which it evolves into. Because I'm sure when you started down this path, you had no idea that you would be the owner of a software company, the owner of a property management company, the owner of a turnkey company, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, I did not. I absolutely did not. I mean, the goal initially was to use real estate for passive income. That's the motivation for most of the people starting into real estate. So I had to have that foundation first before I jumped into a software company. I own about 75 units, and most of them are paid for free and clear. So that gives me the freedom to go out and create this software company where I see a need for it. If I did not, then I don't know. I mean, there had to be some things aligned in my favor to be able to do what I'm doing right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
The other question I have for you is, it seems like the software is very focused on small single family and small multi. Like if I had a 300 unit property on there, would they be able to handle that?
Depends on what you're wanting it to do. We are working with a coach in the multifamily space on the acquisition side of it. So it's very acquisition driven, not property management driven. So we have some investors using our platform, that are doing single family and also doing multifamily, 50, 100 or more units just for the acquisition side of it. But for the management side, they go to other platforms like AppFolio, Yardi, or other property management softwares. And
does your software talk to AppFolio and Yardi?
No. So it's very acquisition driven, not on the property management driven. Yeah.
No, it's interesting because I obviously I'm very heavily involved in the day-to-day of my portfolio that I have, and some of the frustrating things I use Yardi, for example, right? Okay. And I don't know if it's their laziness or whatever, but I have to download all their data every quarter, T12 rent rolls, and I have to manipulate that to create a one pager for my investors, the growth of the NOI, the growth of revenue. And it should be so simple, but it's not. And with a click of the button, I should be able to produce these dashboards. What was the last 15 leases that I rented? How much have we grown the average renovated unit versus unrenovated unit? Like all these types of stuff. And it just frustrates me that there's not a product out there. So if you ever get to the point where you want to
not yet. We have one on our roadmap. Yeah, I mean, the property management company that we have, we use Rentec Direct, which is great. But, it doesn't give you, if you want to scale your business beyond a certain point, you have to look at the data. And that was the challenge that we ran into. You might use one software to do one thing, and then you might use like QuickBooks to do something, your financial, and they don't really speak well with each other. No. There's a lot of human involvement, and then the more people you have involved, there's a higher chance of things breaking down. So, what we have built is very data driven. You click a button and it tells you for every dollar that you put in every single campaign, how much money you've made in it. And then we have plans to do something on the property management side, also very, very data driven, because we use Rentec Direct in our property management business. And we do a lot of work manually to be able to track our numbers. And we plan to completely automate all of that.
That's awesome. That's incredible. Well, if I ever get the courage to go out and start my own tech company, when I'm getting frustrated with stuff like Yardi, I'll have to come to you for ideas, because I've always had these ideas in my head. I'm like, why isn't this more simple? Like I have 3,000 units in my portfolio. I'm like, it should be simpler than this when I'm trying to produce investor reports. So
yeah, absolutely. I'll be more than happy to discuss.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Well, look, what's the goal? Where are you at? What do you want to do in the next 5 to 10 years with REsimpli?
Oh man, I am loving the work so much right now. I mean, it's just like, we're what our goals were. We've been exceeding our goals in terms of how many people we want to have. So that's fantastic. But like, I'm just really, really driven by like what we want to build. I follow Simon Sinek, the guy who wrote Start With Why, and a couple of other. So I watched one of his YouTube videos, and he talked about, the purpose of a business is not to make money. And he gave a really good analogy. He said the purpose of business is not to make money. The purpose of business is to move a cause forward. And he gave an analogy of, you don't buy a car to put gas in it. Or, in nowadays, you don't buy a Tesla to charge it. You buy a car to go to a destination. So that's why, like for business, the money is a fuel that's going to help you get to your destination, which is moving a cause forward. So that's how we look at it. Our mission, our vision is to simplify the whole tech side of the real estate side of the business. Just make it simple. Like a real estate investor, individual real estate investor, or people that are doing large multifamily, they should be able to just focus on their business, not have to worry about the tech side of it, like the challenges that you mentioned. You should not have to worry about it. You should just be, your time is best spent on, hey, how do I grow my portfolio? Not, hey, let me download this report, let me compare it to this report, let me do this in Excel. No, that's not the best value of your time. That's not going to give you the highest ROI. So that's what we see as our mission. Our purpose is to add that value to the real estate community. And I love it. Every day I get up. I've started getting up at 5:30 in the morning. Just like I'm excited to get to work.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
I love that analogy. The purpose isn't to make money; it's to move the cause forward. I actually haven't heard that one yet, but I'll need Simon Sinek. I'll have to.
I'll send you. I have it saved in my YouTube video library, so I'll send you the link. Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's like a small 2-minute video. Sorry.
Awesome. Yeah. No. Last question is, why Canada?
Oh, I'm a Canadian resident.
Oh, okay.
So I moved there. Yeah, but eventually we plan to move back to US. So we have our permanent residency that's in the process. So, we have Canadian residents. So we moved there. Then we plan to move back. Though, as much as I love living in Canada, but, I have all my business in US. So
where would you move back to? San Diego?
Orange County.
Orange County.
California. Yeah, we have some family and friends there. Yeah.
Nice. Well, when you do move back, give us a shout because I'm just down the road in Los Angeles. So, so awesome stuff. Well, Sharad, at the end of every show, we like to get into the top 5 investing tips. You ready to get into it?
Let's do it, man.
Mate, question number 1 is, what is the what is the habit you practice to keep on track towards your goals every day?
It's a simple thing. I have the One Thing book. Talks about it takes 66 days to form a habit. So I just do, for me, like getting up in the morning is a habit that I'm trying to form. So every day I get up, I put a checkbox on it, and then I track, another thing with my workout. For example, I had a goal to do 150 workouts at the beginning of the day. I'm on track to do 175. Every time I do a workout, I write down. So it just gives me tracking on how far I've come along.
That's awesome. Love it. I love it. Keeping on track. 66 days to form a habit. I thought it was sooner. I thought it was quicker than that, but maybe I'm just weird.
It's the book talks about it, 21 days to 200 days, but 66 days is the sweet spot.
Awesome stuff. Yeah. I'll have to check it out. Question number 2 is, who is the most influential person in your career to date?
Oh man, that's a tough one. It's not actually somebody from business. It's actually Rafael Nadal, I would say. Mm-hmm. I really love his work ethics. I love how humble he is. So I think he's a great inspiration for me. Just like hard work ethics, and how humble he is.
Well, there's a new bar that's been set. I've got to now get Rafael Nadal on the show. I don't know if he'll come on. We can all dream, can't we, my friend?
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Question number 3 is, what is the most influential tool in your business? And I may already know the answer to this one, but when I say tool, it could be a physical tool like a phone or a journal, or it could be a piece of software. What's the most influential tool in your business that you use on a daily basis?
Yeah, Notepad. And a legal pad and a pen. Yeah,
love it.
That's the most important thing.
I thought it would have been your software company, but we're already plugging enough.
I don't want to sound biased, but to get ideas from my real estate software company, like that's the tool I go to, a pen and a paper.
Awesome stuff. Yeah. Mate. Question number 4 is, in one sentence, what has been the biggest failure or we call it lessons or life lessons And what did you learn from that failure that's put you on the right path?
Oh man, these are some really good questions. I would say the biggest failure has been when I have tried to go out of my swim lane. Like I need to know what I'm really good at and just focus on that rather than trying to do certain other things that are not best match for my skill set and try to do that. If I had to choose between improving my strength versus weaknesses, I would say, I would rather work on my strengths and double down on it and try to work on my weaknesses because I'm not going to enjoy that. I mean, on my strength, what I love doing, rather work on that and just keep improving on that because that's the stuff I'm going to love. I'm going to look forward to it. Awesome,
mate. I do resonate with that sentiment for sure, because sometimes you think you can do it all. And I know, at least in my business, I'm getting to the point where it's like, yeah, you might need to hire some people, right? And you don't have to do it all. You can just stick to your lane. So love it. Mate, last question is, where can people reach you? They want to be in your sphere. They want to check you out. Where do they go?
Yeah, I mean, the best would be by email, Sharad, SHARAD @REsimpli.com, RESIMPLI.com. Yeah, that's the easiest way to get to me is through email.
Awesome stuff, mate. Well, look, I want to thank you so much for jumping on the show today. I just want to reflect a little bit of what I took away from today's show. And I think the first one you mentioned earlier is data-driven decisions. People lie, data doesn't. So having a software company or a tool that you can use to pull upon to really drive your decisions in your business. And I love that you're able to go out and find a need, find the missing element, the missing tool in your tool belt, and you went and developed it. And I talked to so many entrepreneurs on this show, and I hope all you guys listening, all my listeners, this is what it is. It's about having these obstacles in life and then having the backbone to go out and create it to make your life easier. But in saying that, then you've created another system within your business, which only strengthens the business even more. So I really, really love that. And I love what you said before. The purpose is not to make money. It is more of the cause moving it forward. And that's the purpose of your business. It's the purpose of what you're doing every day. And I can just already feel the energy through the camera that you're really loving what you're building. But did I leave anything out?
No, man, you got everything. Yeah.
Awesome stuff, mate. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll catch up very, very soon.
Thank you for having me, man. Thanks.
Well, there you have it, an incredible show jam-packed with some incredible advice from Sharad. Please do go check out his website, REsimpli. That's SIMPLI. Check it out on Google. If you're interested, if you're a single family or even small multifamily operator and you want to learn a little bit more about what he does, definitely check him out online. I want to thank you all for taking some time out of your day to tune in to continue to grow your financial IQ, because that's what we're all about here on this show. And also remember, if you want to invest with me, you're allowed to now. And so head over to my website at reedgoosens.com, click on the Invest With Me tab, and it'll take me to a link to schedule a call with me. You can find out more about investing directly into my portfolio. But we're going to do this all again next week. So remember, be bold, be brave, and go give life a crack.